Hello, welcome to this new video from Guidancy Education channel. We are continuing class 11 chemistry chapter 2 atomic structure. The topic discussed is Bohr atomic model. Do not skip the video, watch the video completely, and if you think the video is useful, like the video, share the video with your friends who may also be benefited, and also give me your feedbacks as comments in the comment box below. If you have not yet subscribed my channel, do subscribe it now and also press the bell button so that you get intimated as soon as new videos are posted. Thank you very much. Your support is very much appreciated. In this video, we will discuss Bohr atomic model. Introduction. Bohr model was able to overcome most of the demerits of Rutherford's model. Let us just recall the demerits of Rutherford's atomic model. According to this model, electron revolves around the nucleus. So Rutherford's atomic model cannot explain the stability of atom. Later on, hydrogen spectrum could not be explained by Rutherford model. Bohr model was able to overcome these demerits. Two developments at that time helped Bohr suggest his atomic model. I have done separate videos on all these topics. If you have not watched them, please visit my channel and watch those videos. Okay. Niels Bohr suggested his atomic model through 9 postulates. Let us see those 9 postulates one by one. Postulate number 1. Electrons move around the nucleus in circular paths with definite radius and energy. These paths are called orbits or stationary states or ground states. Rutherford did not mention about the radius or energy of the circular paths. What does this postulate tell us? It says that electrons are at a definite distance from the nucleus. That is, the path has definite radius and also it has a certain amount of energy. The second postulate gives us an idea about the energy of electrons in their ground states. Energy of an electron do not change with time. As per Rutherford's atomic model, it is losing energy. Bohr continues to say that the electrons can move from lower energy level to higher energy level by absorbing the required discrete energy, that is not continuous energy, or move from higher to lower energy level by emitting energy. This is what we discussed under atomic spectra. If the energy levels N1 and N2 are represented as shown in the figure, electrons in N1 energy level can absorb discrete or desired quantity of energy, get excited and get shifted to N2 energy level, that is from lower energy level to higher energy. If they absorb more energy, it can be transported to N3 or N4 energy level as the case may be. Electrons will move from N1 to N2 or from N2 to N3 or from N3 to N4 and so on. These excited electrons are quite unstable, so they easily lose their energy and move back to their ground states by radiating excess energy. We have discussed all this in hydrogen spectrum. Now the third postulate, the frequency of radiation absorbed or released when transition occurs between two stationary states is the difference in energy between the two, that is between the two stationary states. This is called Bohr's frequency rule. Let us take one example. Electrons are present in the energy level N1. By absorbing discrete frequencies of energy or radiation, it can get transported to N2 or N3 or N4, etc. The absorbed frequency will be emitted when it gets transferred from higher energy level to lower energy level. What is the magnitude of this frequency? It is equal to the difference in the energy between these two stationary states. Energy is referred to here in terms of frequency. We already know the relation between energy and frequency. E is equal to h nu. So frequency nu is equal to E upon h. If E1 and E2 are the energies of level N1 and N2, then difference in energy will be equal to E2 minus E1. Applying the equation, frequency is equal to E by H. Difference in frequency will be equal to E2 minus E1 by H. This can be written as delta E by H. Delta E by H is the frequency of the radiation that is absorbed or released when transition occurs between two stationary states. This expression, frequency is equal to delta E by H, is Bohr's frequency rule. That's important for exam. I hope it is clear. Next postulate. The angular momentum of an electron in a stationary state can be expressed by a formula. MEVR is equal to N into H by 2 pi. An object moving in linear path will have linear momentum, and it is equal to rho equal to mass into velocity, that is linear velocity. But for an object like an electron moving in circular path has angular momentum represented as L and is equal to mass into angular velocity, omega. We know angular velocity is equal to linear velocity into radius of the circular path. So angular momentum becomes equal to mvr, that is MEVR. So according to the postulate, MEVR is equal to N into H by 2 pi, where N is the number of the orbit and H is Planck's constant. H is equal to 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 joules. So electrons can move only in indefinite orbits. As per this equation, the angular momentum for the first orbit should be 1 into H by 2 pi. And for the second orbit, it should be 2 into H by 2 pi. For the third one, 3 into H by 2 pi and so on. Such levels only are permitted. The fifth postulate states that the stationary states for electron are numbered as n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. are designated as K, L, M, N, etc. and are called principal quantum numbers. This is as per the previous postulate, that is as per the angular momentum. The sixth postulate states that the radius of the first stationary state for electron is equal to A naught is equal to 52.9 picometer. You know, 1 picometer is equal to 10 raised to minus 12 meter. It is a small value. The radius can be calculated from the expression for angular momentum. Radius is equal to N into H by mass of the electron into its velocity into 2 pi. For n equal to 1, the value obtained is 52.9 picometer. The radius of the first orbit is called Bohr radius. Radius of any orbit can be calculated from Bohr radius. The radius of any orbit Rn is equal to A naught times n square, where n is a number of the orbit. Using this formula, the radius of any orbit can be calculated. For example, for R2, that is radius of the second orbit, it will be equal to 52.9 into 2 into 2. That means it is equal to 52.9 into 4. For third orbit, it becomes 52.9 into 3 into 3 and so on. The magnitude of the radius goes on increasing by several times with increase in the number of the orbit. Now, the seventh postulate. The energy of any stationary state En is equal to negative 2 pi square m e raised to 4 divided by n raised to 2 h raised to 2, and it is equal to negative 21.8 into 10 raised to minus 19 divided by n square, so many joules. This is the energy for n is equal to 1. The magnitude of energy is negative because energy is released. Using this formula, Energy for any stationary level can be calculated. 21.8 into 10 raised to minus 19 divided by n square can be written as negative 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 into 1 by n raised to 2. The decimal point is being shifted backward by one step. This quantity is called Rydberg constant for energy. Please recall the Rydberg constant for wave number. Remember not to confuse between these two. Okay. So let us see one or two examples. Energy for stationary state 1, E1 is equal to negative 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 joule. Energy for second energy level is negative 0.545 into 10 raised to minus 18 joules. Remember, it is a negative value. Negative 0.545 into 10 raised to minus 18 joules is greater than negative 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18. N2 has greater energy than N1. Similarly, N3 will have still greater energy. Let the energy levels around the nucleus be represented like this: N1, N2, N3, and finally N infinity. The electrons present at infinity, that is at energy level infinity, will have the greatest energy and they are no longer attracted by the nucleus. Now the atom remains as ion. The electron is totally free. In the case of hydrogen atom, it becomes hydrogen plus ion. As the distance of the orbit increases from the nucleus, the energy also increases. Now the eighth postulate. According to this postulate, Bohr's theory can be applied to ions containing one electron. Example, helium plus lithium 2 plus and beryllium 3 plus. These three ions contain only one electron like hydrogen atom. The energy of these hydrogen-like species also can be calculated by slightly modifying the formula. Energy of the orbit En is equal to negative RH Z square by N square. So many joules. Z is equal to atomic number of the species, equal to negative 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 into Z square by N raised to 2. So for helium ion, this energy becomes equal to negative 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 into 2 raised to 2 by 1 raised to 1, which is equal to 1 only. So it will be equal to negative 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 into 4 joules. Similarly, the radius of these hydrogen-like species also can be calculated using the formula. Radius of any orbit of these hydrogen-like species equal to Rn is equal to A naught into n raised to 2 by Z. A naught, you know, is the Bohr radius, that is radius of the first orbit. N is the number of the orbit and Z is atomic number. For lithium, the atomic number Z is equal to 3 and for beryllium it is 4. So the value will become smaller and smaller. That is, the radius of the orbit of these species decrease with increase in atomic number. Last postulate. It is possible to calculate the velocity of an electron in its orbit. Velocity depends on the charge on nucleus and principal quantum number. Velocity increases with increase of positive charge on nucleus and decreases with increase in principal quantum number. If we represent the quantum numbers like these n1, n2, n3, etc., the quantum number increases along this line. Then the velocity of electrons in quantum number 3 will be less than the velocity of electron in quantum number 2 or 1. So velocity of electrons in N1 is greater than that in N2, greater than N3. The nuclear charge in helium is greater than that of hydrogen. As per this postulate, in the helium atom, the velocity of electron will be greater than that in hydrogen. We have discussed all the elaborate points given by Bohr And in the next video, we will discuss the merits and demerits of Bohr model. If the video was useful, do subscribe my channel. Bye for the present. Thank you.